I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the Filthy Capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the Village, Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy merch.
This is Census Fail.
The Path.
The Path, and I'm actually...
We are at the very last song.
Pretty sad.
For our DJ Mark stream. He has picked a ridiculous list for us. This one, he said, doesn't fit the whole theme that he's been doing all along, but this is a bonus that he wanted in there. So here we go.
Yes.
Census Fail, The Path.
Look, we had a DJ stream. That's where one person pretty much dictates the night, and this was a crazy set list. All of our DJs, by the way, have been badasses, but Mark is out here trying to secure the award of DJ of the month. So I don't know, man. It looks like he's up in front right now. All right, guys. Census Fail, The Path. I've been stalling because I've really been enjoying this night, but everything comes to an end.
Yep.
Let's have fun. Let's go. Where's my lyrics at?
Look at the basement of your heart. There is a light that just went dark. Look through the wreckage to find reverie. There is a truth that we all must say.
Oh my gosh!
See the truth, Debbie.
You're waiting for someone to come and save you, but you're afraid to see the truth. The insecurities that you cling to will steal the beauty of your youth.
Whoa!
Comfort to know, take comfort to know that we are reborn together, reborn to follow. So hold on, young hopes. Find what you love and let the rest out go.
Woo-hoo!
And it takes more strength to
Woo-hoo! Got a little cavity.
and it takes more strength to tear up the nails, pull up the floorboards. Come face to face with your subconscious mind. The devil, the sinner, the saint, they're all in our blood. But we must choose the path, the way walk.
Wow!
Choose the path, the way walk. Light the flame in your soul and burn on. And it takes more strength to
Okay, Mark.
Wooly, wooly,
It's
wooly,
like
wooly,
the theme
wooly.
song for me recently. Wow.
Mark.
This is
And
it does fit in with the whole theme.
Mark. Holy moly. I don't know, bro. I don't know. This guy.
Believable.
This guy. All right. I'm going to let you just roll with this because I know you're chomping at the bit because you've been doing a lot of internal work right now.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Yeah. It was so dead on what he was saying. Like, okay, look in the basement of your heart. There's a light that just went dark. Look through the wreckage to find reverie. Reverie?
Reverie, yeah.
What is reverie?
It's sort of joy, celebration, that type of thing.
There's a truth that we all must see. You waited for someone to come and save you, but you were afraid to see the truth. The insecurities that you cling to will steal the beauty of your youth. So, obviously, Vin has been an amazing friend to me for literally a lot. 15 years? I don't even know. What
Dorian's 15, so.
Okay, so
13,
12 years?
14 years. Yeah,
14, something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's been a really awesome friend, and he's so knowledgeable, and he has
Later,
like,
Aunt.
a lot of stuff that he's...
Sorry, Aunt was leaving. Let's say bye to Aunt.
Goodbye.
Bye, Aunt. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
He's been through like a lot of different things, and so he has a lot of knowledge on stuff and a lot of wisdom on things, and I always watched the way that you helped everybody that was around you, and it was inspiring and just beautiful, really, to watch. And then I went through a very difficult point in my life, and you were there, like, helping me through that so much that I think that I got to the point where I just kept wanting... I think I liked the feeling of you saving me. And so I think I always wanted that. Like, I just wanted you to continue doing that.
Oh, no.
And so, yeah, that's
no.
not healthy in a relationship. Oh.
I thought it was going to die on us, but the internet kept fighting.
Yes.
We bought a new router, guys. It's fighting through it, inshallah. Keep going. Go ahead.
So that, I think, like, okay, so you waited for someone to come and save you. You were afraid to see the truth. And that's totally how I started being. Like, I just kept wanting you to just come save me in every situation and every mindset that I had and everything that I needed to change about myself. But I was afraid to see the truth about myself and who I am or whatever. The insecurities that you cling to, which I was turning into an extremely insecure person, like all around, like just everything. It was impossible to have any conversations because every time you said it didn't matter what, my feelings would get hurt and I'd feel really sad. And it said it will steal the beauty of your youth. And literally I was feeling old inside, just, but then take comfort to know that we are reborn together, reborn to follow, to hold high young hopes and find what you love and let the rest all go. And then this song was just so good because it's hearts burn on and it takes more strength to move on. Like, it's just so positive about moving forward, digging up the nails and pulling up the floorboards and facing your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And, Vin and I have said this before, my subconscious is extremely opinionated and strong, and I did not want to face my subconscious. And so it was overtaking my dreams. I kept having the same dreams over and over and over and over. And my mind wouldn't move on from those subconscious dreams because there was stuff that I had to face and deal with that I was unwilling to face and deal with. But then the next part I think is so important, and this has been huge for me. The devil, the sinner, the saint, they're all in our blood. But we must choose the path that we walk on. We get to choose the path that we walk on. Light the flame in your soul and burn on. Because you have to come to terms with your shadow self, your dark self, your evil self. But some people, I think, just focus on how amazing they are and they never can focus on the bad. And some people only focus on the bad and they can never focus on the amazing. And I think we have to have a well-rounded view of ourselves, and that's to see ourselves as much of the truth as what we can. So there are times where you make a bad choice and there's bad consequences that follow your bad choice. But maybe the reason that you made that bad choice is coming from not necessarily a bad place. It may be some point of insecurity or some thing that happened to you when you were a kid, and that influenced why you did whatever you did in this given situation. But I think we have to recognize, okay, well, I did the wrong thing here and it brought about a horrible result, but it came from another area of weakness that I have to get stronger in. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, I did this shitty thing because I'm a shitty person and I'm always going to be a shitty person and it resulted in more crap in my life and I'm ruining everything. Like everything is, you can't, sometimes you get up to a point where saying those negative things about yourself only almost kind of like feels good. And it is something that you enjoy and you're not really sure. Yeah. Like,
how come?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it's like, I don't know. Like beating yourself up feels good because you feel like such a shitty person because of the result that you just want to be like, you know what, all around, it's just bad all around. Like I'm just bad start to finish. There's nothing, there's no hope. And maybe that's because it gives you a reason to not really try to change because it's like, well, this is where I am. And
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not really sure because I haven't really like done a lot of truth seeking on why that is. But I kind of was finding myself in that place where I was just like negative all the time. And when you hold on to negativity and you just look at everything that's bad and and even the stuff that's good, you twist it to find a way for it to be bad, then in the end, there's so much bad that, you know, why should you keep on living at that point? It just feels like everything's so bad, you might as well just not. And so it can bring you into a really, really dark place and a really bad place. And you have to make the conscious decisions. I'm kind of reading this book right now that talks about a lot about life is sometimes people just kind of like lay back and just let life hit them like a giant wave and just keep slapping them against the beach. And that's not what life should be. Life is a series of decisions that you make throughout your day. And you choose how that's going to affect you and what's going to happen from that. So there are a whole bunch of things in your life that you cannot control. And those things are going to happen to you. And you can't control it, so you got to just let that go. And what you have to control and the decision that you have to make is how are you going to respond to whatever just happened to you? So are you going to just lay on the beach and just let the wave keep slapping you? Or are you going to get up and you're going to try to strengthen yourself to be able to swim in those waves?
Yeah.
So that's kind of, you know, where I am it says, don't be afraid to stumble and weep. Enjoy the journey, even when it's steep. And I really like that. The mountains teach us to rise up and reach, enjoy the journey, even when you're weak. It's just really, really good because, you know, there's certain things that I think everybody has that helps them get through the day. And so, you know, we talk about our religion. Some people, not our religion, it's really Jesus. It's like talking to Jesus, prayer with Jesus, and connecting with God. He's the creator of our being, and he's the way that helps us to get back to that oneness that we need. And I think, you know, some people it's weed, or it's, you know, some medication that they're on, or, you know, a person that they talk to. A lot of people
turn it into a relationship.
Well, yeah, exactly. So there's like a lot of things, and you know, I've just been hitting this point where the normal comforts that I go to that are not the Bible and not prayer and not God that I want to go to, I am not allowing myself to go there. I am forcing myself to make positive. Everything has to be about what is the best thing that I can do in a given situation, not what will get me by or what feels the best, but what literally is the best. So I know that sitting and wallowing in self-pity is not the best, and it never brings about anything good. So it's facing the mountain, rising up and reaching the mountain and climbing it, you know, like this song is saying. But it's difficult sometimes, and then in some ways it's a lot easier than wallowing in self-pity. It's the weirdest thing because
did you think that your, you know, physical presentation kind of made it harder for you to see those things just because of how you were treated by especially, you know, guys or whatever?
Yeah, because like you said the other day, like nobody has told you the truth, Sori. Your entire, like, people don't tell you the truth. If somebody has a problem with you, they don't, you know, they don't say it to you. And shout out to, you know who you are. You sent me a message and you were like, hey, is there a problem here? And that's something that people don't do with me. And so I was extremely grateful that I got that text message because we were able to talk about it and see that, it, you know, things weren't as they seemed, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was very happy about that because it was true. Like, people don't tell me the truth. They don't do that, and they never have all my life, unless people are really like, okay, if somebody's jealous of me, they probably said truthful things to me, because now I look back and I'm like, well, yeah, that person kind of said that to me, but I wasn't. But they're coming from a bad, negative place, so I'm like, oh, they're not to be trusted. They're jealous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you were the first person that I was able to say, okay, I mean, is there any truth to what you're saying or not? So does that answer the question that
No,
you're asking?
yeah. And I like watching you. You seem a lot. It seems like you're a lot more hopeful and a lot more grounded. That's the big thing. Like,
yeah,
you were always kind of like 4 feet off the ground, and there were times when you could fly, which is amazing, but you could never like get to the ground. And it just looks more and more like getting to the ground, and it's more like everything like had the capability for a nuclear fallout. And that's not just one way, right? It's like I tell the boys, like, if something's going on in a relationship, you're the man, you're the leader, it's your fault, figure it out. So like I don't want to have like an imbalanced sort of, but like the way that I don't have to spend a lot of time now figuring out how I'm going to say or what, because I used to, I mean, a month ago, like on average in the shower, I'd spend about 40% of it trying to think through how to engage you with stuff, because
it was impossible. It didn't matter what he said. Like, anything that was not like, if you said anything positive, I couldn't accept anything positive. And if you said anything negative, like even slightly negative, it was devastating for me. It's the weirdest thing. It was completely unhealthy. But I think all of it changed when I didn't really know, like, I knew that I had to start doing some like self-work, but I didn't really know where to start. And the idea of starting it was so overwhelming because I didn't have a starting point. And so now, like, what I just started doing was I stopped thinking or repeating things inside of my mind that were untrue. So regardless of what it meant, if it wasn't true, I wasn't going to say it, because you get these thoughts in your head, like, okay, so for instance, if you have to tell me something negative that I don't want to hear, and then I say, I don't just say, like, let's say it was, just give something stupid, like, let's say you say, please stop putting your headphones on the desk, which is obviously not something that he would say, but let's say he said, stop putting the headphones on the desk, and it was something he had to keep repeating over and over, and then he gets really frustrated about the headphones being on the desk, and then I say, he's always mad at me, like, he always finds a reason, like, so headphones are on the desk, and he has to make a big deal about it because he just has to be, you know what I mean? Like, instead of saying, no, that's not true. The truth is, he's asked multiple times for the headphones not to be on the desk, and he's tried to find a workaround, but you continue, you know what I'm saying? Like, now, or being like, or the other thing is just to be like, I'm such a terrible person because I keep putting the headphones, even though he asks me not to. I'm such a bad person. I've been bad. And it was just like, so everything was just negative and terrible. And so, and then my mind just kept like spiraling down.
Everything wasn't negative and terrible. Not everything was negative. There's a lot of...
Well, I was seeing stuff as like negative and terrible a lot. And so it was just making, like, I felt so sad all the time because it was just like I couldn't get on top of myself. So now I've just been practicing just what is the actual truth in the situation, and then from there I'm able to see a lot of other things.
How much is your the template that you have as a Christian? How helpful is that in embracing your shadow self or being okay with it, or was it not that at all? It's just you finally just decided, hey, I gotta deal with this, or is there any comfort in the Christian in the sense of, yes, I do this and this bad, but I'm forgiven, or there's grace, or I'll have power to overcome it, or is it more the psychological aspect that's...
No, there's actually a lot of elements to it. So one is, that helps me because I am the type of person where I think about like where I am in relation to other people. And so
sure, Brick.
That verse that says, but we're all sinners. We've all gone out of the way. Like everybody, like if we could say in our,
all we like sheep have gone astray. We've turned everyone to his own way.
Yeah. Like we're all shitty people. We all do stuff. So if you're walking around thinking that you're not as bad as the other person, you might not be seeing yourself rightly because you've probably done a lot of things that were horrible in your life. So that was helpful to say, okay, we're all in this situation. And then it was helpful to say, okay, well, if we're all in this situation and God has a fix for it, he's going to help me. And I really, really want to see the truth in all these different situations. So it was just, the other thing too, is there's a verse that says that God will keep the person at perfect peace whose mind is focused basically on God because the person trusts in God. And so that was something that I've been thinking a lot about. And also there's a verse that talks about that he who has begun a good work in you will complete it. So I'm like, okay, so God is working in me and God has been working on me all of my life and he's bringing about something good in that. So I know that even though this part of my life seems really dark or hard or scary, I'm on a journey.
Yeah.
And this is a difficult part of the journey. But if I trust God and I just keep my mind on him, and that's been really helpful because so fear likes to come up and fear brings with it torment. We've talked about it before. And fear brings with it accusations and thoughts that are not helpful and are negative. And if it was your kid having those thoughts, then you would have a lot more positive stuff to say about it, to say, you don't think like that. It's not good. But because it's yourself, you kind of can make excuses for yourself and just have all these negative and terrible thoughts. And so I'm like, I'm not going there. I'm just going to follow what the Bible says. And the Bible says, that I should just keep my mind on God and that he's working things out. And so then I just started doing that. I started saying, well, I'm going to spend my time thinking about things that are like ideas or thoughts and different stuff that what if this or what if that, like all these possibilities about the world and about my kids and about, I wonder what, like thinking about different verses and mixing it with the scientific stuff that we've been studying and being like, oh, well, there's a scientific explanation for what that verse is meaning, which is different than. It's
very fascinating.
It is.
Like a lot of the changes have come from
Hoffman's been a big part of it.
Us sitting and just listening to a scientist for hours.
Yeah.
And because we did a lot of the investment on the biblical stuff, so we have a lot of that. And then when you combine the science, and then there's some psychology and philosophy
like Legos.
with Jordan Peterson, and you've got some psychology and philosophy, then you're looking into the Stoicism and things like that. And it's cool because the Bible kind of gives us a sort of compass as to, because some of this shit is crazy, like Jung. Like once you start really digging into Jung, you're like, okay, this guy was batshit crazy. Like sometimes,
and no,
like he, Peterson. I'll tell you offline because it's too fantastical. But it's very, very fascinating because it's like a lot of this has come from scientists, psychologists, who are mostly secular. And then we look at the wisdom and then we channel that wisdom through the Bible. And so I don't even think what's happening with you is even replicatable in a lot of Christian churches.
Well, I don't think it is too, because there's a lot of elements to it that go along with my giftings. So because, I've been prophetic a lot of times in my life. So before everything happened, I actually told you that. Remember I said like there was a shift before, but this one was like a wave?
Yeah.
So
you did.
I'm like,
you did, yeah.
That helps me a lot because I'm like, okay, it's a wave, and a wave comes and a wave goes, and you're still okay. It's not a shifting. A shifting is something's going to change. You know what I'm saying? So no, I don't think it's replicatable in that sense, but I do think positive thinking. It's so funny because a lot of times churches will shit on that idea of like positive thinking,
especially our tradition.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Especially our tradition, they mock it or whatever.
Right.
And there's so much in the Bible about the mind.
Right. And I don't think so. Sometimes you see in like movies or something, the person's like in the mirror, they're like, I'm successful, I'm proud, and I'm, you know what I mean? Like they say that. And I don't think that just like repeating those phrases is as helpful. I think that it can be a little bit silly sometimes, but at the same time, there is a lot of positive stuff that is biblical, that is true about yourself, that you do that with. You repeat those things to yourself instead, because I guess there's different types of people, and there's some people that don't have a dialogue inside their head. So I guess I'm not speaking to you because I don't know anything about that. It doesn't even make any sense to me how somebody can not have a dialogue going in their head all the time.
I know.
But I'm the type of person, and you are too, where there's a constant dialogue.
100%.
And so my dialogue is oftentimes extremely repetitive if I'm not thinking about things beyond myself, as in ideas or theories and stuff like that. So if I'm not thinking of stuff and trying to figure those things out, then my dialogue is pretty repetitive, and I have allowed my dialogue to get extremely negative. So, and there's a lot of like always and never language. So if somebody does something that really grates on me, then I'm like, wow, they always do that. Even though they don't always
we worked on disempowerment language too, defeater statements too.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because I'm also hearing a lot less of those from you.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because right now there's a lot of room for self-pity and other things, and you're maintaining. Yeah. And it's pretty incredible to watch. So Jambi said, are they doing a review, or they're talking about their delusions? Jambi, this song, my brother, is about self-improvement.
Right.
And Sori was sharing with the community where she's at in her journey. Okay? And she's a Christian, so God is a part of that. She's married to me, so I'm a part of that. She's a mom, so the kids are part of that.
Yeah.
And she's got a very, very curious mind, so scientists, psychologists, and philosophers are part of that. All of these are things that God has given us to get us back to Him. So, Jambi, I don't know specifically what pain or whatever happened to you or whatever, and I'm being dead ass serious right now, bro. I don't know exactly what happened to you, right? But I do want to let you know that I'll definitely be keeping you in my prayers, because something obviously is off with you, right? Yeah, it's been really cool to watch it. The song, anytime somebody writes a song like this, it's a little bit like risky, because people are like, oh, you're preachy, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, there's a lot of my life sucks, things are horrible, things are bad in metal. And I think that those are also important, because you got a lot of people who will never recognize that they're in actual pain.
Yep.
So from that, like when I first discovered Korn, and, you know, Jonathan, you know, the first time I heard Daddy, I was up in my room and it was completely dark. Me and my best friend had just went to a party, and it was obvious that we were just too different now, because we had gotten into metal, and, you know, we had gotten into the subculture, but then we still had old friends from our previous life, we used to say. So we got invited to this house party, or this girl, Katina, that I, you know, whatever. But we were at the party, and it was just like so clear we didn't belong there. And we tried, and we just kind of, and we never talked about it. I knew what he was thinking. He knew what I was. We never talked about it, and we never did that again. But I remember that was the night I went home, and it was sad, you know, because on the one hand, like, you're going into a new subculture, because we had people in Manhattan that were metalheads and all that, and so we kind of found our tribe. But on the other hand, it was like, these are people that we were never gangbangers, but these are people that fought with us side by side. These are people that stood up for us. These are the people we stood up for. You know, so it was very, very hard. And it was weird, because it wasn't like a get out of here, like everybody, oh, Vin, Sharif, but like but it was just clear that. So anyway, I'm listening to Daddy, and Jonathan is crying, and I just cried but I wasn't crying for the same reason Jonathan was crying, but, you know, it was, I just knew, like, that part of your life is over, and you're a kid, you're 15, 16 years old, you know what I'm saying? But you just knew, like, that's over. And so, so there's a lot in metal where, like, yeah, you know, you do have to that cathartic release, but there's got to be. I remember one time I was looking at a message board, because that's what I used to do after I discovered Korn. I used to go to these AOL chats. We used to go to the library because we didn't have the internet at my house. So we would go to the library and you could check out a computer for an hour. And if there was nobody in line, you could refresh your little card and you got 3 of those things. So I remember I was just out there typing blah blah blah. And then I was talking about, oh yeah, Korn's the best, blah blah blah, and everybody was like, yeah, Korn. And then this one, it was a woman, and she said, yeah, but when is it time to heal?
Yep.
And I was like, fuck you, blah blah blah. But that line never ever left me ever.
Oh wow, that's so interesting.
It was one random line on an AOL message board. I'm certain that she has no idea, but that stuck with me for the rest of my life. That line, when is it time to heal? And I was like, wow. That's really interesting. And so you need songs like this in metal. Like you need the cathartic, you need the pain, you need all that.
Yep.
But you also need somebody that can say,
it's time now.
You know, it's like I forgot the name of it. It was Angelina Jolie and Whoopi Goldberg. And I forgot the name of the movie, but they're in a mental ward, and there's one scene where she's in the bathtub and Whoopi Goldberg is there as her, like, you know, handler, you know, psychologist or whatever. And Whoopi's like, she's in the bathtub, and then Whoopi's like, okay, like, you got a session in 5 minutes, so let's go. And then Angelina goes, well, okay, help me out. And she says, you get out. And obviously that was the metaphor, is the metaphorical device of get yourself out of that. But the tub was warm. You see? And, you know, I say this all the time, like back in the day, like when I'd have a problem and you see that I have a problem and you're like, why are you react? Because I'd react like, yeah, whatever. And I'd always used to say, oh, this is like a warm bath. This is like a warm bath for me, like living like this, like dealing with this situation. And some of it was out of my control because, you know, it was coming from a certain person. But some of it was, you know, I had acclimated myself mentally to these situations as a defense mechanism, but now I'm in a situation where, yeah, obviously, you know, it's not perfect, but there's a lot of times when God's like, you don't need to do that. You're not in that situation, so you don't need to do that. And so that's one of the big things I was really, really working on the last 6 to 8 months. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool thing, man. Really good song.
This part, I gotta say this one too.
Yeah.
He says, right here.
Girl interrupted. Sorry. Girl interrupted.
Passion pushes the urge. Your love of life determines what you're worth. Go now and unlearn and burn, burn, burn.
Yeah.
And I just really like that because there is a sense in which you have to learn new things, but there's also unlearning that has to take place. And you have to unlearn the things that were not helpful. But if you can unlearn them, then you can have them in your mind so you can help somebody else. So, I was like that, but then you know what I'm saying? I backed away from that because it's not. And I'm doing that a lot with, we have one kid that he loves self-pity. He is an amazing kid, and he will blow your mind with the things that he says. But that is one of his weaknesses, is self-pity. 100%. And it gives him an incorrect view of situations because he'll only look at it through the lens of his self-pity. And so I've been talking to him about broadening that and blah, blah, blah. And it was really interesting because, today really good with it. He said he brought up a situation, but he didn't only talk about his discomfort in the situation. He talked about who else was uncomfortable in the situation, which was huge for him. And I called it out right away when I saw it, and I said, that is you. Oh, that is really good, because I could see that he's been trying. So it's showing.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, it's really it's an enterprise now in the house. Like, there's a lot of folks that are really like, we got to get a couple more in, but there's a lot of focus now on self-improvement.
Absolutely.
In the house.
Absolutely.
And everybody's like holding themselves accountable to it, and it's a great thing. And, you know, it's hard, but I really feel like everybody can do it. I just feel like we have an advantage because there's an already created template of, you suck, you made a mistake. So you don't have to feel bad. You don't have to fear looking at the dark regions of your heart.
Yep.
I'm not worried about anything I see if I look at myself.
Yep.
At all.
Yep.
And I remember one time I was all beating myself up about something, and God said to me, that's what you're upset about? He's like, listen, little bro, there's things in your heart that are much worse than that I won't show you because you won't get out of bed if you know that they're real. And so my thing is, I'm worse than what I think I am. So beating myself up is a useless enterprise. Because I'm not qualified to beat myself up.
Right.
I'm not qualified to beat myself up because I don't know all the information about myself.
Yep.
It's like you go into some, like I was watching Kevin Samuels and this woman was talking about how she observed with her parents and so she's not going to be like her mom. And Kevin Samuels was like, what the hell do you know about it? You were a kid. You have a child's perspective on what's going on. You don't have all the information. She's like, well, I know what I saw. And he's like, yeah. And now you're a grown woman. And have there been things between you and your mate that your kids saw that weren't real? And she's like, well, yeah. And he's like, okay, so you don't have all the information to make that determination. Well, I don't have the information about myself. I don't know why I do half the shit that I do. And neither do you, by the way. That's why there's an entire industry called psychology that makes billions of dollars a year. Nobody knows why they do the shit they do.
Yep.
Paul said, listen, all these people were accusing him of shit. And he says, listen, I'm not aware of anything that makes me guilty, but that doesn't mean I'm innocent. Let's just leave it for the Lord to judge. So I don't judge myself because I'm not qualified to judge myself. I'm just told to love people and I'm a people. So God didn't tell me to judge myself. He didn't tell me to judge Jambi. Jambi's out there flailing and all the rest of it. He claims he hates religion and all this, and he thinks it's all silly. But he's been hanging out for 2.5, 3 years. So he's a very complex guy. You can't look at it's so crazy. Like people look at somebody from the internet, and now all of a sudden they know them.
Look, he said, love me, Vin.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. Like now all of a sudden you know a person because you saw them on the internet. Get out of here. You've been living with yourself for 33 years. You don't even know yourself.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
So anyway, good stuff. This was a little extra long review. Shout out to Aaron Lee. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Tasco. Shout out to Jambi, obviously.
And thank you, DJ Mark. This song.
DJ Mark, man.
Okay, I'm going to have to actually give this one an 11 because yeah, this one is like literally the theme song of my life right now. And this cover, I love it because it looks like there's all this darkness around, there's fog and everything, but coming through is this burning light.
Yeah.
And that is just...
That's got to be the screen cap.
Yeah, that's just... Whew. And he said, too, something about... where's the light? Okay, you know what? I'm going to just use your thing.
Yeah, man. DJ Mark tore it up. Everybody knows it, man. Everybody knows it. DJ Mark, I believe in the goodness of humankind, but our disconnection of the nature and life has made us what we are now. I'm probably more delusional than Vin and Sori. Yeah, good stuff. Holy shit, this is. I'll give this an 11.
Yeah, it's just,
and it was just massively timely. Mark,
you have no idea.
Holy shit, man! What a collection of songs, Mark. Holy shit, we've been around for 4.5 hours, guys.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, 3.5.
Honey, remember? The stream collapsed
before
you were on for an hour. It's 2:00 on the dot. Thank you guys so much. Shout out to Juan. Shout out to Mark. DJ Mark, I don't know, man. Look, we got a couple more DJ streams to do. I'm looking at the board. But
I have more than that I have to. I'm waiting for responses.
This is going to be challenging to top this one. Shout out to DJ Mark. He absolutely killed it. Here we go. Bang. Bang. And then bang.
Okay, so 11 for me. You want to sign out?
Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone. Shout out to the big homie Jambi. I cannot wait till you to get saved, bro, and get rid of all that bitterness.
Yep.
We out of here.